Looks like the cliff swallows have found a little place to nest. Sure, there's a big difference over where they were before. So what you're looking at here is on the east side of Durham Road North on the road allowance, where Mother Nature has taken care of a lot of erosion protection. She's dropped some trees, a little bit more rubble. There's obviously some stuff here that was placed by man, probably within the last 30 to 40 years. We got the remains of a station wagon. There's a manure spreader. Hopefully there's no toxic waste that got dumped in here a long time ago. There's about a 30 to 40 foot cliff back in the trees, but you can see how it's all grown down directly to the water line. So that's the best way to stop erosion, because this section of the beach has had crap pounded out of it just like all the rest of it. Oh, looks like I see a lure caught up on a log over there. I'll have to go back later on and see if I can track it down. And you can see the algae is already starting to build up. It's amazing how it started so early this year with that warm spring that did in a lot of our fruit trees. Oh, there's the remains of an automobile. You can see the tires and the back axle, steering wheel. Looks like it's got a straight six engine in it. It'd be interesting to try and find the plate on it and see who the original owner was. But also, you know, see all the big trees that are lying in the water? They give some place for the kingfishers to land, the red-tailed hawks, provide shade for the minnows and the bait fish when they come close to shore, and even all the overhanging trees. This is all part of the fish habitat that Niagara Peninsula Conservation Authority doesn't seem to understand. All that shade helps to moderate the water temperatures. Like I say, give a little bit of protection for the bait fish, for the minnows. And I imagine in the evening and at night, this is when the salmon and the trout come in looking for something to eat. Oh, and you can see back behind us, there's the remains of a, looks like a disc. And then we're coming up to the remains of a manure spreader. That one wouldn't be too hard to cut up and take out. It's probably actually an antique. But you can see the hill, very little erosion on the hill. The plants have taken over, the trees have taken over. You got birch in there. I'm not sure if there's any oak trees in there, but every little bit helps. I beachcombed this area quite a bit, so it's interesting to see how the changes are. But it's been pretty steady for the last 20 years. Now we're coming upon Durham Road North itself. All this block work that you're seeing at the very beginning was put here illegally. No permits, no permission, nothing. The owner of the property to the west just decided to go ahead and do it, and then made an attempt to buy the road allowance off the town of Lincoln. Fortunately, the town of Lincoln put its foot down and said no. Our public accesses to the lake are not for sale. Unfortunately, the town of Lincoln won't stand up and defend it. It's been 7 years now since the work has been done. And I've got a couple Freedom of Information requests in to see whether or not they've actually been doing anything. It's only yours if you're willing to defend it. Last counselor that I talked to said it would be hundreds of thousands of dollars to force the owner of 4904 to return everything back to its originality. And they don't seem to think it's worth the cost. But boy, is this pretty, eh? And as you can see, all the rubbish that's dumped over the side, all the trees, all the grass, etc. This is basically where his property line ends. And all this brickwork here in front of the trees and onwards for a good 40-50 feet, this was done without a permit. But nobody will step up to the plate and say, hey, come on, take it out of there, restore it to its natural. Where the danger sign is, that's a little creek that comes through the orchards and is supposedly part of the environmental conservation zone. You can see the holes in the embankment and cliff swallows. They've been nesting here for at least 20 years. But unfortunately, as we move onwards, the 40-foot cliff that used to be here, along with trees, along with shoreline protection, etc., has all been hauled away. This was done with permit also. Unfortunately, the permit never should have been issued. It looks like the stonework is too far into the water line. All the natural protection for the hill is gone. All the big trees have been hauled away. Now anything that gets sprayed on the orchards above, you can see the fruit trees, all that spray, if the wind's blowing incorrectly, is going to end up in the lake. The Niagara Peninsula Conservation Authority in their paperwork says that there should be a buffer zone. Well, that buffer zone is gone. You can see on top of the stonework, they've hydro-seeded and they dressed it up a little bit. The weeds are starting to move in, but you can see how it's eroding every time there's a rain. And if you look carefully among the big rocks and little rocks on the lower end, all that dirt that's there is eventually washing into the lake. If you check the back side of the permits from the Niagara Peninsula Conservation Authority, it clearly states no muddy water or silt goes into the lake. Nothing goes into the lake. And they're supposed to have permanent protection up until everything has been completely dressed and grown in to make sure nothing happens.